All right, so I will be multitasking today. Welcome. It is 12 o'clock. Welcome to this week's class for our CEO chicks. Those of you who have made a commitment, that have made an investment in yourself to assuring that this season is a season of production, a season of harvest for you, no matter what it looks like and no matter what it feels like. It doesn't mean that the declarations that you made, right? That the declarations that you made in 2019, the declarations that you made when the clock hit midnight, it doesn't, what we're seeing right now doesn't mean that those things are not coming to pass. They shall come to pass. Not they may, they shall come to pass. And the one thing that's between what will come and what is happening now is your mindset. So we're going to give our viewers, our CEO Chick members, just another minute or two to come on here, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, Lencia. I am getting like this major delay. I've been in virtual meetings all day. They have been seamless, no issues. So please make sure, let me know that you can hear me okay, that you can see me okay. Let me make sure there's no one logging in here for our webinar. All right, looks like we're good on here as well. Awesome. So those of you who are on, Lencia, can you let me know that I can be seen okay and you guys are hearing me okay? I just want to make sure that we are all set before I get started. Coach Lencia is thebomb.com. Thebomb.com. Thank you again. Lencia, just if you could let me know that I am okay to move forward. I want to make sure that the recording is good. I'm getting a delay on my end. Usually I know that there's a delay on Facebook and Zoom, but this is pretty significant today. I'm not exactly sure why, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, CEO Chicks. When I'm looking down, it's not because I'm being rude. I'm just making sure that we are all set and that we are ready to go. I see that we have people logged on now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, we're going to get rocking. We're going to get rolling. So let me repeat, for those of you who are logging in just a little bit later, listen, we have to get our mind right in order to get our money right. And this is what it's about. What I love about the philosophy that we stand flat-footed on here at CEO Chicks is total life prosperity. That while we're looking to dominate in business, we have to also equally be committed to dominating in our relationships, dominating in our emotions, dominating in our spiritual life, dominating in our purpose, which is in alignment with business as well, but making sure that we are truly operating in what God has intended for us, total life prosperity. He desires to bless us beyond what we could ever imagine or think, and it starts with your capacity to receive. And where does that come from? It comes from your mindset. And so today we're going to be talking about your mind, getting your mind right in order to get your money right. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all now so that you can follow me. Move this out the way. Here we go. All right. Okay, well, my hope and my expectation is that you're able to see that clearly. This is about getting your mind right in order to get your money right. I am Coach Schellie. I am a Florida State licensed psychotherapist, and I am your wellness coach. And I am tasked with I have the responsibility, which also translates into a blessing and a privilege, to support each and every one of our members in their capacity to get more through a balanced emotional state, right? I am tasked with the responsibility to assure that we are providing the information that you need to maximize yourself, to optimize your mental wellness, your emotional wellness, and so that you can have the capacity to accept more. There's a mindset behind that. And today we are talking about the how to get your mind right in order to get your money right. So let's talk about a little bit more about the why. So one of the things that we do as your coaching team and as what we do individually in our own walk is to make sure that we are examining the mindsets of the individuals who are dominating in their sphere of influence. What is it that they're doing? What are their daily practices? And we're not trying to mimic anyone, because trust me, we understand that we have to flow in our lane. We understand that nobody else can join us. This is not a co-assist situation. While we do have support, we're not trying to mimic anybody. We're not trying to be copycats, but we are learning mindsets, life practices, the way that people go about managing and issues and conflict. It's important for us to know how people that have succeeded and have overcome, who have made it to the other side of something that they didn't know, that have made it to the other side of something that they were uncomfortable with, how do they do it? And so in exploring this, we have found that millionaires have gotten to a point where they have realized that that it wasn't their experience that made them money. It wasn't the people that they knew that made them money. While these were all tools, it wasn't necessarily that. It wasn't the experience. It wasn't the intelligence. It wasn't the social capital. All that helped, but the primary, the driving force, the impetus behind their success was their mindset. And many millionaires and those who are in places of influence have said that they know that they reached, that they hit their climax, that they finally got it when their mindset generated money for them. I don't know about you, but that's the kind of money generation I want, right? I am no longer going to strive for trading time for money. Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen that we are no longer wanting or striving to trade time for money? But when you get to a place where your mindset is generating money for you, that's amazing. All right, let me see here. Let me make sure that I have everybody in. All right, awesome. Okay. All right. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So today, what we're doing is making sure that our mind is right, our emotions are right, and so that we are able to get to a place where our mindset is generating money for us. Because look, we have to start to see it as a whole enchilada, okay? We have to be able to start seeing it. Let me make sure I'm lowering this. We have to make sure that we're starting to see it holistically, right? That we're not seeing as our success as separate and apart from different things. There are many people that say, Psychology Today, Psych Central, some of the major, resources that support psychotherapists will say that people cannot exceed, they will never get to a place of success, right? They will never reach success without optimizing their mental health. Mental health, your emotional capacity becomes or can become a barrier for you. And so we have to make sure that we are teaching the skill set behind maximizing your mental wellness, your emotional wellness, in order for you to be in a position where you can receive. I have seen people, because of their emotional instability, have anger outbursts in situations that could have been the impetus of their breakthrough. People who are not able to interact with other people because of their emotional issues. They're so shy and withdrawn because of that molestation or that rape, or people who are too tired to really operate in peak performance, or people who are depressed, those who are dealing with procrastination. There is so many things that can keep us from really being in full throttle in this journey to dominating in our sphere of influence. That is our why for today. how can we give our members the tools that they need to overcome? Okay, so let me see. I think we have some comments here. I'll get to those in just a second. So let's move forward and let's talk about where is your mind. I am reminded of the very first psychology class that I ever took. And let me tell you this, I knew what it was that I wanted to do from a child. I didn't know the name of it. I didn't know the name of it. I didn't understand it, but I saw it. And if you could see something and if you could dream about it, it could be yours. Let me say that again. If you could dream it, it's yours, because dreams come from a seed. And if that seed is implanted in you, it's because your passion and your purpose is aligned with that seed. So if you could dream it, it can be yours. Remember that God desires to bless you beyond what you could ever imagine or think. So just know that it's in you. Purpose is not something that you look for, it's something that you dig for. So here I am, I'm in my first class. I am operating in my purpose, in my passion. I knew this is what I wanted to do. I go into my first psychology class. It's so surreal for me. I had done all of the other like math, English, all those other core courses. And here I am, I'm now in my major. And the psychologist comes out and he says, there's no such thing as a mind. I was like, what? And why are we here? And so he just basically explained that this concept of mind sometimes is completely distorted. So let me bring it some clarity for each and every person on this training call, that the mind is where so many emotional processes happened. Okay, so when we think about our emotional capacity, our emotions in general, we tend to think that it comes from our heart. So if we say that we're hurt, we say, I was so hurt, or I was so happy, or I'm so grateful. We tend to grab our heart for these emotions. But the truth is that our emotions comes from our brain. Right? So let's talk about the mind a little bit and why it's so important to maximize our mind's capacity, because that is what we want to get to, a place where our mindset is generating money for us, right? Is that our goal? Our goal is to get to a place where our mindset is generating money for us. So we know that your mind, right? When we're talking about your mind, it is located in your brain. We're talking about your brain, your car's battery, your brain, your body's battery, that thing that produces your thoughts and those things that cause you to be who you are. It all comes down. It all is a manifestation. It all comes from your brain. So your mind is the place where your emotions reside. Your mind is the place where your decisions are made. Your mind is the place where your past hurt is stored. I want to sit right there just for like 3 seconds, okay? Your mind is where your past hurt is stored, whether you remember it or not. I got to take a sip on that. Whether you remember it or not, your past hurt is stored in your mind. And so whether you are able to function and still do day-to-day doesn't mean that you're healed. You could be functional, but that doesn't mean that you are healed. And so the past hurt is stored in your mind, and it's going to do what it's designed to do. Your past emotional injury becomes a malignant tumor. And so you have a choice whether to deal with it, right? Work on it, process it through it, or just allow it to continue to grow. Your mind is the place where your perceptions are activated, what gives birth to your personality types, what drives your interaction with others, where your talents, your skills, your knowledge and strengths are birthed from. It's your lens to the entire world. If I give you red lenses, you're going to see red. If I give you blue lenses, you're going to see blue. And so it's important for us to understand how powerful the mind is. I'm going to say this 1,000,000 times during this class, that millionaires say that they hit it and they made it big the moment where their mindset was generating money for them. What does it take to be a boss? What does it take to be a boss? And let's look at this list. The place where your emotions reside. You need emotional stability to be a boss. You cannot operate in like 1 minute you're happy, 1 minute you're sad, 1 minute you're excited, 1 minute you're depressed, 1 minute you're hopeful, another minute you're hopeless. That comes from emotional instability. So to be a boss, we need emotional stability. The place where decisions are made. That's a brain function. Your ability to forecast the consequences of your actions, the ability to make decisions that are in line with the desired outcomes you want to attract. Your decisions become a magnet. What are you attracting? And so it's important to understand that your decisions are a brain function, right? It's a brain function. Bosses make amazing decisions. Bosses are able to make decisions in stressful situations. Bosses are able to make decisions irregardless of their emotions. They're able to tell their emotions to sit down somewhere so they can continue to make decisions that are fruitful. Bosses are able to function past the hurt. They're able to flow past the hurt, but they understand that they have a responsibility to address it. Bosses, they have personality types, and they know how to place other personality types in situations and positions that would cause their businesses to grow. Bosses know how to interact with others. They understand that social capital and relationship currency are important to grow their business. And so they know how to interact with people. They know how to make people smile and make people laugh. They know how to establish trust, right? And so these are bosses. These are all what brain functions. These are things that you have to know emotionally in order. You have to know, I'm getting, oh, okay. So I hear that's good. Mindset is everything. Yes, that's a word. Amen. I'm just going back to the comments here. Thank you so much. Continue to fuel, continue to keep the fire going in this training. Thank you guys so much. And so we have to be able to interact with others consistently. That comes from emotional stability. Knowing your talents, your skills, your knowledge, your lenses to the world, it all comes from your mind. And so this month's blog for you guys, right, was talking about mental money, those mindsets that you need to have in order to assure that you're bringing in that money, right? So those mindsets were about being able to focus, your mindset where you don't need any other external force, but the internal motivation on the inside of you to keep it going. All those things, those specific mindsets that attract money comes from a healthy mind. Let's move forward. All right. So now that we have determined where our mind is, our brain, and what it does, let's talk about emotional intelligence. This is a word that has been used much more lately. Hello, everybody on Facebook. And so we have been talking about emotional intelligence, right? A lot lately. I mean, over the years, it has kind of become cliche. However, it is so important. Because if you do anything, if you are in business with anything that requires interaction with a human, you need emotional intelligence. So right now, I want everyone to let me know, are you in business? Does your industry have anything to do with a human? Say yes. Let me know yes here in the chat. Let me know yes here on Facebook, right? Because if it does, it is important for you to maximize your own emotional intelligence. Being able, you can be the bomb.com person in delivering criticism if you know how to do it constructively. You'll be the bomb.com if you know how to take a problem and make it work for you. Right? Because we are paid, people seek us out because we are the answer. That comes from emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence includes 5 things. Number 1, it includes self-awareness, right? Self-awareness is that area outside of your blind spot. Let me say it again. Self-awareness is anything and everywhere, that point that is outside of your blind spot. Everybody has a blind spot. And in that blind spot, there is this perception of reality that this is what it is, this is right, or this is wrong, or this is how it should be done, and this is not how it should be done. But guess what? Self-awareness is the ability to step outside of that and consider something other than your truth. Self-awareness. I gotta say this. Oh my gosh. I'm not good with time, but I need to share this. So, I went to the airport some months ago when it was safe to fly. And there was some chaos at the security checkpoint. And you gotta listen to this. I want you to hear this. So I'm coming through the security checkpoint and there's all this drama going on. And because I am a behavioral expert, I love to observe behavior, just how people behave and how they respond to one another. So I come to the security checkpoint and there's a woman and she is livid. She is livid. And she basically was under the impression that someone had stole her carry-on, right? So she's waiting for her carry-on to come through the little tape, through the little, whatever that machine is called, the scanner, right? Where we put our suitcases on and then it scans and it comes through. So she's waiting for it to come off of that belt and it never did. And so basically they told her at the security checkpoint, just give it some time. Surely somebody will get to the gate, realize they grabbed the wrong one and bring it back. So now here I am coming to the security checkpoint. Now by this time, I would say maybe about 30 to 40 minutes had passed because she was declaring like, you told me to wait 30 minutes. It's been 40 minutes. No one brought it's time to call the police and I want my bag back and all my valuables are in this carry-on. Okay. So these men, and they were gorgeous, by the way, come out in suits. There's like 3 or 4 of them, and they're trying to calm her down. And they tell her, they said, ma'am, we have reviewed our cameras. And we reviewed the cameras from the time that you were dropped off at the front of the airport, right, in the departing terminal. We watched you and we reviewed the cameras for the time that you got out of the vehicle for whoever dropped you off, all the way to the point where you were coming through the security checkpoint. And ma'am, you did not come out of the vehicle with a carry-on. So now, I love this story. So now, she starts going off. Impossible. Yes, I had my carry-on. So they say to her, would you like to review the footage? Do you know what this woman said? No. She declined to see the footage. And how many of us have things that are right in our faces, but we decline to see the footage, that we would rather stay in our blind spots than face the pain and the discomfort of the truth to get to the other side of our breakthrough. Emotional intelligence is about understanding your blind spot and being motivated to get out of it. Being motivated to connect with people that are not in the blind spot with you, your family members, your friends, but getting outside of that circle to be able to see your life from a different perspective. This is what self-awareness is about. It's about self-regulation. In this season, especially during coronavirus, this COVID-19, this pandemic, there are people that are unable to take themselves from a 10, high anxiety, panic, and oh my God, we're all doomed for death, are unable to take themselves from a 10 to a 4, a 3, or a 2. So emotional intelligence is about understanding the skill sets that are needed to regulate your mood and make them balanced. That's a skill. It's not magic. It's a skill. It's something that is learned, where many of us did not learn it. We watched our parents blow up when they were angry. We watched our parents react to their emotions and react to situations. We don't know what it looks like to effectively respond to triggers to our anger or triggers to our anxiety, right? And so we don't know what self-regulation looks like, but it's a skill that's needed in order for you to be a boss. Emotional intelligence is about motivation. It's about empathy, really empathizing with people and understanding they didn't become that way just because of no reason. Asking ourselves, not what's wrong with that person, but what happened to that person. Just changing that question around will start to trigger your empathetic responses to people who think and act considerably different than ourselves. And then, of course, social skills, right? Those social skills, that's all emotional intelligence, eye contact, effective communication, giving that firm handshake, asserting yourself in meetings, making sure that you understand that you're the answer, and how do you do that through your language or through the words that you use. All of this is emotional intelligence. Are we good? All right, let's move forward. It's important to understand that while we're talking about mindsets that generate money, that you have to get the fact that you cannot drink from an empty cup. We get that, right? We get that in the natural. Don't give me an empty cup of coffee. Don't give me an empty cup of orange juice. But many of us are asking life for that. You're asking life to give you all of these things from an empty cup. The only person that can fill your cup is you. That's why you continue to feel empty when your husband doesn't tell you how beautiful you are, or your boyfriend doesn't tell you how beautiful you are, or you're in relationships that you're not happy with, because the only person that's responsible for making you happy is you. The only person that can fulfill you is you. You're the only person that can fill your cup. So if you are not being intentional about filling your cup, you're asking the atmosphere to give you wealth, to give you staff, to give you popularity, to give you a following, but you have nothing in your cup. So how can you expect to have the capacity to influence outcomes in the earth if you are doing it from an empty cup? Talk to me. Help me to understand how you do that. And so a lot of the times we're putting our self-care to the side as if it is negotiable. It's not negotiable, because you can thrive for 5 years. The universe may allow you to do it for 10 or 15, but somewhere along the line, you will break down, and your entire enterprise will break down with you. You cannot drink from an empty cup. You have to fill yourself up, because you are worth it. So how do we do that? How do we fill our cup? It is important for us to assure that we have daily routines, right, that will cause us to fill our cups, especially when we're not used to doing them, right? And they're not necessarily something that we do naturally. It's not something that we saw. I really don't like all these toolbars showing. I'm so sorry, guys. But anyway, so it may not be something that we saw growing up. It wasn't learned behavior, right? And so because it doesn't come natural for us, if we include it in a routine, our routine will cause it to become habit. So a lot of the times, the things that you are looking for, the life changes that you are trying to make, you have to assure that you incorporate that into a routine, so the routine can then become a habit. Right? And so if you're putting something in your daily, if you're putting prayer in your daily routine, exercise in your daily routine, when you put it in your daily routine, it becomes a habit, then life just doesn't feel right when you don't pray, or life just doesn't feel right when you don't exercise. We want to get to a place where our routines are causing significant discomfort in our day-to-day lives. So what are those things that we have to make sure we incorporate? Everybody's daily routine may be different, right? And go with what you know. But there are certain things that no matter what religion you are, no matter what your schedule is, no matter what time of day you thrive better in, there are certain things that everybody's daily routine should include. The first thing is deep breathing. And I'm talking about diaphragmatic breathing. And so I want you guys right now to take 3 deep breaths. 3 deep breaths, and once you do that, let me know that you're done. 3 deep breaths. 3 deep breaths right on Facebook. Let me get this up so I can see how Facebook is doing here, okay? 3 deep breaths. Now, I want you to tell me, I want you to kind of review what you just did. How many of you took 3 deep breaths and when you did it, you noticed that your chest was rising and falling? How many of you realized that your chest was rising and falling when you took those deep breaths? So I want you to understand, if we took more time deep breathing the correct way, there would be so much more clarity in the way that we thought, so much more clarity in our decision making, so much more groundedness in our ability to manage our emotions, so much more stability in so many different things, so much more health. But we do not breathe correctly. So starting your day with 20 minutes at least of some good diaphragmatic breathing, that means that your chest is not necessarily rising and falling, but your stomach is expanding all the way really, really hard. And then it's going back in again, and you have it, so you cause it to expand and shrink. So going in, you're breathing all the way in through your nose and causing your stomach to expand, and then you are releasing that out of your mouth slowly and causing your stomach to shrink. And if we do that in the mornings and start our days off with some good deep breathing, you're starting your day off right, okay? And so I used an example the last time I did this training about a woman who had just graduated from Embry-Riddle. She was a pilot, and she unfortunately died in a plane accident, a plane crash. And what happened was she was supposed to be flying with a co-assist. It didn't happen. Not sure what the circumstances were, but here she is flying a plane right here in Florida locally, and they review the 911 call. I'm not sure if it was a 911 call or a call to whoever, kind of the base where people are flying. And there was so much screaming on the call. She was like in a cloud or fog where she wasn't able to notice that the nose of the plane was pointing downward. And so on this 911 call, the person who was coaching her was saying, climb, 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 which basically means switch the angles, increase the angles of the nose of your plane so that you won't crash. Many of us start our day with our nose pointing downward because we're not eating right, we're not meditating, we're not commanding the day to produce what it is we needed to produce in order for us to do what we are called to do. We don't have these morning routines that cause our noses to be up. And so part of that routine is taking those deep breaths out, breathing in through your nose for 4 counts, holding it, breathing out for 4 counts, watching your stress level, like literally imagine a red line coming down every time you breathe out and causing your stomach to shrink, and then doing it all over again. You could do that in complete silence. You can do it with some calming music, but everybody, before they even get up out of the bed, just lay there. Lay there, make sure you're completely comfortable, that there's no pillow or your cell phone's in your back and it's causing you to feel uncomfortable. Just make sure you are in complete comfort, right? As you take these deep breaths. About at least 20 minutes, but you could do more. The next. Stretching. When is the last time each of you stretched? Some of us who work out, this is something that we do because it just comes along with working out, right? When is the last time you guys have stretched? Why is stretching so important? Oh my God, your flexibility in your muscles plays such a huge part in your circulation. Guess what your brain needs to operate in peak performance? Drum roll, please. Good circulation. And so it's important for us to make sure that we are stretching, getting our muscles stretched, every muscle, our arm muscles, abs, back, legs, our quads, our calves, our feet muscles, making sure that we're getting a good stretch every day. That is important because to operate in peak performance, you need great circulation. So we did our deep breathing. We gave our brains all that oxygen that it requires, all the oxygen that it needs, all the oxygen it does not get when you're engaging in your day-to-day chest breathing, but we gave our brains all that oxygen that it needs. You do a good stretch, and then we move into the next. And that's some good meditation. Everybody meditates differently. This is when you can use visualization, just what you're expecting your day to produce for you. You're doing your deep breathing. You could even stretch through it, or you could just be completely still. And you're visualizing that thing. Listen, your brain will reject what's new to it. Your brain will reject things that are foreign to it. It will, right? Because our brain is about associations, like years and years and years of association. If you do this, then you do this. If you're vulnerable to people, you get hurt, right? We have these associations. Some of them are very unhealthy because what I just said was not true, right? But it can be an association that somebody has made over time because of emotional injury, toxic relationships or what have you. Our brain is an electric field with all of these connections, all of these schemas, all of these life lessons, right? And so it's important to make sure that we are giving our brains what it needs in order to function appropriately. And we have to make sure that we are exposing our brain to new information so that it doesn't reject it because it's not a part of all these associations we've already made. So I need my brain to be comfortable with writing $1 million check. I need it to be comfortable with that. I need my brain to be comfortable with me walking into a cathedral or a huge gym, I don't know, some huge venue with thousands of people there to hear Schellie speak. I need my brain to not reject it when it's happening. I need it to not sabotage my progress. So when I am engaging in visualization and meditation every day, introducing these images to my brain, I can rest assured it won't reject it when it happens. Meditation is necessary for our morning routines. Next, fortifying our bodies. I thought I was all good in the hood going to McDonald's and getting a sausage and cheese bagel until I realized that no matter how long your sausage remains exposed in your car, in a hot car, no matter how many weeks it stays there because you forgot it in the back seat, it will not rot. And when that happened to me and I realized I'm putting that in my body, I understood the importance of us making sure that we are being mindful. We are addressing our brain needs in the choices that we make when we eat. And this needs to be a part of your morning routine as well. We need mindsets that create money for us. We need our minds to create money for us. And so best forms of medicine, you can add something else to this list. So we talked about deep breathing. We talked about stretching, meditation, fortifying our bodies with a good breakfast, and something else that makes you feel good. That woman is saying shh, because that could be sex for some people in the morning, if you're married or whatever your situation is, but it could be that. It could be great music in the morning. It could be prayer. It could be whatever that is for you to add it to your morning routine to assure that you're telling your brain, we're killing it today, right? So your daily routine. Those are best forms of medicine are the things that we love to do, the things that we love, whether it be music, it could be journaling. I have clients that prefer to journal during the day or journal in the morning, whatever that is for you, add it to your morning routine. Wellness Recovery Action Plan. This is when you are being very, very mindful of your self-care, being very mindful of your self-care. There is actually an action plan that you can complete in order to assure that you're staying on top of your self-care. And if you want that, it's called the Wellness Recovery Action Plan. You can send an email to us and we can make sure that you get a copy of that, because we have to make sure, especially when engaging in your wellness is not something that you generally do. So the Wellness Recovery Action Plan is basically when you are becoming an expert in your own wellness and you are taking control, right? You are saying finances, you're evicted. Husband, you're evicted. Husband, boyfriend, you're evicted. outcomes in the earth, you're evicted. This is when you're telling everything else is evicted, that my wellness is not contingent upon anything else, right? Because when your wellness is attached to things and situations, you will never be well. So this is you taking control of that and saying, I am the driving force behind my wellness. And because of that, these are the 3 things that I do every day to be well, right? We need 3 things that we do every day. We need 3 things that we do at least once a week to be well. We need 3 things that we do at least once a month to be well. We need 3 things that we do every quarter to be well. And then we need those things may not necessarily be 3 that we do annually to stay well. And what's that thing for you? And if it's so important to your wellness, if I go into your calendar, will I see it? So this is 3 things that we must do every day. Those things that we should do weekly. Those things that we should do monthly. Those things that we should do quarterly. And those things that we should do annually to make sure we are meeting needs and we are staying well. Because we need to protect and we need to be gatekeepers in our mindset. We need to be gatekeepers surrounding our mindset because we want to get to a place where our mindset is making money for us. I want to talk about the wellness wheel. And I'm going to go through this as quick as I possibly can. And I want you to rate yourself a 1, 2, or 3. And as I go through it, I want you to declare that. We're in a private group today, right? We're in a private group. So I would like for you to put down your number, right? So I'm going to explain the area. I'm going to explain what it means. And you're going to give yourself a 1, 2, or 3. 1 means I need major help. 2 is I'm working on it. And 3 is I'm doing absolutely amazing. I'm killing it in this area. This wellness wheel is it reflects the 8 different domains that we have to maximize our wellness in order to declare that we are mentally stable, that we are emotionally stable. Let me say it again. These are 8 different domains that we have to be maximizing our wellness in to truly declare that we are well. So you're gonna give yourself a 1, I need major help. 2, I'm working on it. 3, I'm doing amazing. The first is intellectual. This is the degree to which you are exposing yourself to new information. We need it so much right now. There are so many of us that are totally in our survival brains. Our survival brains is our panic mode. We gotta stay sharp. We gotta protect ourselves. We need the Lysol. We need to stay alive. We need to run when we're ready to run. We gotta live, right? What happens in our survival brain is we cannot learn or absorb new information. So if you are intentional about learning and exposing yourself to new information, you can take your anxiety down. You can deactivate that survival response to what's going on right now with the pandemic. So intellectual is about, to what degree are you learning a new language, learning to play a new instrument, you're reading different genres of books, you're being intentional about listening to music that's not even part of the genre of music that you listen to. That's what intellectual is about, the degree to which you expose yourself to new information. 1, 2, or 3. Let me see what your responses are. I'm going to Facebook right now. 1, 2, or 3. Let me see the numbers. Let me see the numbers. Give yourself a 1, 2, or 3. We're going to move on to physical. So this is the degree to which you are intentional about being well physically. So you're exercising, you're eating well. You have mastered the ability to deny yourself immediate gratification. You have learned how to deny yourself gratification. That's what physical is all about, because staying in bed a little bit longer and not exercising, that's immediate gratification. That's you giving yourself that. When you're denying yourself that, that means that even though I don't want to do this, I will because I love myself. Self-care is a manifestation of self-love, not laziness. The lack of self-care doesn't come from laziness. The lack of self-care comes from a lack of self-love. Because self-love will always produce a higher motivation to take care of yourself. So physical is about the degree to which you're doing just that. Next is financial. 1, 2, or 3 here. 1, 2, or 3, where financially you're well, your children are well. Financial wellness is the degree to which you are safe. Think about it that way. The degree to which you are safe. That you have X amount of months saved in rents and you have investments, that you're looking at generations to come when you're thinking about your wealth. It's not just about you, but how you can be a blessing to others and how can you establish, generational wealth, financial security for generations that come after you. That's what financial wellness is about. Do you give yourself a 1, 2, or 3? Occupational is the degree to which you have chosen job opportunities or career paths that allow your natural skills and abilities to flow. That's occupational. And so the degree, again, to which you have chosen a career path that allows your natural skills and abilities to flow. So some of us have chosen career fields because it brings in money, but you're not giving your natural skills and abilities an opportunity to flow. You will kill yourself if your motivation is only monetary. The next is emotional. This is your ability to manage your emotions. You know why you think the way you think. You know why you feel the way you feel. You are extremely protective over your emotions. You know how it is. You have the skills that you need to take your anxiety down. You know the skills that you need to overcome depression. You know how to take control over your emotions and allow your intellect to lead the parade. You have the skill set needed to stabilize your emotions. 1, 2, or 3. Social. You are very, very adamant about aligning yourself with builders. In our social circles, you can only have builders or breakers. Those who withdraw from your life account or make deposits in your life account. So in your social circles, you're being very mindful of aligning yourself with people that make those deposits. They're making deposits into your life account. They are building you. These are people that when they speak a word, every time you connect with them, they drop a word that gives you life. Then you have other people that call you and just emotionally vomit on you every time you interact with them. Your social wellness is the degree to which you are being very mindful about aligning yourself with builders. Social is also about the degree to which you are intentional about engaging in leisure and recreation, and doing so by doing the things that you love. I love to skate. When's the last time you skated? I love to go to the beach. When's the last time you went to the beach? I love to knit. When's the last time you knitted? A lot of the times, the things that we love to do, we cannot recall the last time we did them. And that is not well. Look at the millionaires. It doesn't matter what they just lost, if the stock market just crashed or whatever it is. They are on that golf field, aren't they? They are still on the golf field. Why? Why? Because they understand that their mindset, that they need their minds to be well, because that's what's generating money for them. And so they are very intentional about leisure and recreation. You'll see golf on their schedule. Do we see knitting on yours? Do we see beach on yours? We tend to overwork ourselves and think that we're dominating, but that is not necessarily correct when you don't have the balance that you need. And so social is also about demand-free time. The degree to which we are exposing ourselves to demand-free time. Ooh, demand-free? Like sometimes we go on vacations and they're not really vacations because it's not demand-free. I don't know about you, but when I'm at a cruise and I'm still yelling at my kids and picking up after them and where are you going and come back at this time, how demand-free is that? Can any of you identify what demand-free time you engage in? Demand-free. No pull, no expectation, no requirements, demand free. That's what social wellness is about. 1, 2, or 3. The next is familial. This is the degree to which you are intentional about connecting with family members, healthy family members, because there are some family members that the only connection you should have with them is through prayer. There are some family members that the only connection you should have with them is through prayer, honey, okay? So the degree to which you are connecting in a healthy way with family members, if you're the one thinking, wow, we should have a family reunion, guess what? You just became the event planner. So the degree to which you are intentional about assuring that those family interactions are harmonious. And the last is spiritual. This is the degree to which you're claiming a belief system and you're operating in it, right? Like, I'm like totally confused right now. Like, you believe that, you know, we are the blessed of the Lord and we are marked, but you're just as, you know, anxious and uptight as the rest of the world. Like, what do you believe? What's your belief system? Who's your Lord? Like, this is the degree to which you are actually living what it is you say you believe. 1, 2, or 3. Let's move forward, because I could stay there for. All right, so we're talking about mental wellness, assuring that our minds are operating in peak performance. And when we are talking about that, we have to be clear about our strengths. We have to be very clear about our strengths. First of all, understand this. It is more profitable for you to build on your strengths than to work on your weaknesses. I'm not saying you shouldn't work on your weaknesses and your growth potential. You should. But it is more profitable for you to build on your strengths and outsource those tasks that are weaknesses to you to somebody else if you're in the position to do so. But it's important when we're talking about mental fortitude and we're talking about mindsets that generate money for us, that we are very clear about our strengths. And our strengths are there's a difference between talents. I am talented in substance abuse therapy. I find it to be extremely draining, and I don't like it, but I'm talented in it. I'm talented in teaching. And I guess I can't say I don't like it because I'm doing it right now, but there's certain, like, I'm talented in teaching kids. I know how to connect with children. I don't like it. It's very depleting, so it's not a strength. There are things that we are good at that we mistaken for strengths. And there are business owners that do the same thing. You are assigning people to areas where they are talented, but it's not necessarily their strength, so they fail. We put people in leadership positions because they may be talented at things, but because it's not necessarily their strength, they fail. We have to make sure that we are operating in our strengths. When you're operating in your strengths, it's invigorating. You work for 10, 12 hours, you didn't even realize it. Oh my God, I didn't eat. It gives you more energy. And these are the things, when you know you're operating in your strengths, it gives you success. It brings you success. Like, if you want to be a motivational speaker, ain't nobody booking you. And well, maybe it's not necessarily a strength. You know, I used to sing, and Lord have mercy, I know that God just gave me blessings and recognized the attempt, but that's not necessarily my strength. So strength brings you success. That's very important that you understand that it brings you success. So the word sign, S-I-G-N, will let you know whether you're really operating in your strength. So your strength should bring you S, success. There's another thing that you should know about strength is that the I, S-I, right? The strength is innate, that you can do it without even realizing you're doing it. When I'm interacting with people, I'm counseling and encouraging and empowering, imparting when I'm not even thinking about it. It's instinctual. It's like the blinking of an eye. That's strength. You know, when you interact with Colleen, she's prophesying like, and she's not even trying. It's an instinct. It's instinctual. So when you're talking about your strength, you're talking about things that bring you success. You're talking about something that's instinctual. You're talking about something that brings you growth, not stagnation. When you're operating in your strength, it's level upon level upon level upon level. When you're operating in your strength, there are no barriers. And so we have to be very careful what we are identifying as strengths. Millionaires know their strengths and they capitalize on their strengths. Their strengths bring them success. It's instinctual. It brings growth. And the last, it's a need. It's a need. You know what happens when needs are not met, they die. There are some of us that have strengths that we have not even touched on, and you find yourself just lost and you feel so stuck. It's because you're dying. Your brain cells are dying. You're not operating in your strength. When you have a strength, it brings you success. It's instinctual. It's a need, right? It brings you growth. I did that out of order. It brings you success. It's an instinct. It's a need. It brings you growth. I can't spell sign, y'all. S, it brings you success. I, it's instinctual. G, it brings you growth. And N, it's a need. And what's that for you? Stop considering all the things that you do well as strengths, right? And that's important. And there are ways for you to assess the difference between your strengths and talents. And if you're having trouble with that, reach out to your coaching team so we can assist you with understanding the difference so you're not wasting any more time. Emotional regulation promotes effective decisions and functional behaviors. Emotional regulation is your ability to assure that your emotions are not leading the parade, right? And so emotional regulation is about assuring that we know how to allow our intellect to lead the parade. And we do this through so many different ways. Emotional regulation can come, you can learn that. You can learn the skills associated with emotional regulation through therapy, right? Through psychotherapy. You can learn emotional regulation through coaching, right? These things are skills. They're skills. Everything boils down to learning new information. You rather punch a wall when you're angry because you don't know the skill set in formulating words to express how you feel. Emotional regulation is all of that. And it promotes effective decisions and functional behaviors. Why are we saying that here? We're saying it here because we're talking about mindsets that generate money, and millionaires are able to make decisions irregardless of how they feel. So being a woman doesn't give you license to make emotional decisions. That's a lie. So learning to regulate our emotions is so key. To be in your feelings is to be out of control, period. If you're that emotional and you need extra help, then that means your co-assist, your vice president, your whatever needs to have maximized emotional regulation while you work on yourself. I have seen people blow deals right out the water because they do not have emotional regulation skills. To be in your feelings is to be out of control, period, with a T. To be in your feelings is to be out of control. We have to learn how to regulate our emotions. You do not have to act the way that you feel. You don't. You have control over that. Animals react. Emotional regulation is about responding and not reacting. Reacting is when our behaviors are as a result of some type of external or internal trigger. But responding is something that you have practiced. That although I want to call you a heifer right now, that I have learned to say, you know what? I don't necessarily agree, but I'll consider that, right? You've learned how to respond. I see Facebook posts that are emotional, decisions that are emotional. Like you're letting all the world know your business because you're in an emotional tantrum as a grown ASS woman. Come on now. We're not animals. We should not be reacting to all of the triggers that are around us. We have to learn how to respond as the controlled and regulated businesswomen that we are. You have to know your triggers. We talked about awareness already, right? It's okay. Don't say no to watching the monitor. Remember the monitor where the woman didn't want to see the truth, that she never had her carry-on with her, right? We have to be able to see the monitor. We have to have the strength to look in that monitor. We have to know our triggers. What makes us sad? What causes us to be to lose confidence? What causes us to be angry? You need to know that. You need to know what causes you to be angry, what causes you to be sad, what causes you to lose confidence, what causes you to be confident. Like, we have to know how we're triggered and what those triggers are. And most importantly, you have to know your story and make sure that you understand that your story is there. Some of us, our story is behind a big black wall, and we have these men in the front that cause the story to stay in the back of that wall. But sometimes we get weak. Therapy will cause those men to get weak, because we're asking you to talk about what's behind that wall, because we talked about that malignant tumor. We don't want that stuff behind the wall. We want you to face it. We want you to deal with it. The perpetration of pain may not have been your fault, but it is your responsibility to get the help and the healing that you need. And so therapy will cause those men to get weak. Like, man, she's talking about the rape again. She's talking about the cheating again. She's talking about, yeah, we're weakening those men because we need that stuff to come outside of the back of the wall. We have to know our story and understand how it plays in our day-to-day decisions. We have to know our story and take control, because you can allow your story to have a good ending. Don't be afraid of your story. Don't sweep it under the rug anymore. You have the power and the control to cause your story to end in a happy way. So be aware, know your triggers, and know your story. Lord have mercy, at 101, I'm going to get fired. I'm almost done here. I'm almost done here. Is this true? Does 1 + 1 = 2? Does 1 + 1 = 2? I'm in all over the place trying to monitor this. I'm so zoned, like I'm cooking fish right now. I can't do anything else. That's only happened with age. I'm 44. I could only do one thing at a time. So I'm trying to see your questions and see what you're doing here on Facebook. So please forgive me. I will make sure that I address questions at the end if I could. I'm already over time. 1 + 1 = 2, and yes, that's a true statement for those of you who are still trying to Google whether or not this is true or not, okay? So it is true. 1 + 1 does equal 2. So let us assume that we have no control over that red 1. We have no control over that red 1. But we do have control over the black 1, right? And we want to make that 2 become a 20. What do we have to do? Because we can't touch the red 1, but we can touch the black 1. We can make the 1 a 19, and that will make the 2 a 20. What do we do if we want the 2 to be 100? We make the black 1 a 99. We want the 2 to be 1,000. We'll take that number 1 and we'll make it 999. We can make that 2 1,000. We could make the 2 whatever we want, and we did not need that red 1. All we needed was the ability to change the first number 1. If you want to change your 2, you have to start with you. You don't need that apology. You don't need that like. You don't need that share. You don't need the approval of man. You don't need the allowance of your spouse. Listen, if you want to change your 2, you have to start with you. The change that we want in life can only come from within. It has to start there. We don't need the 1. We didn't need the red 1. We were able to make 2 whatever we wanted. So if you want to change your 2, you have to start with you. Next. It's important for you to have resources. Oh my gosh, you talk to millionaires, they'll tell you, I read this, I read that, I listen to this podcast. They're not just wealthy for no reason. They have resources. They have resources that support their mindset generating money for them. Some wellness resources here. The Pixel Art Color Number. It's an app that you can get on your phone. Oh my gosh. Do you know how many people actually got coloring books? I was on a live, I can't even remember which one because I've done so many in the past several weeks, just supporting people through this pandemic. And I talked about how knitting, that there was like some major benefits to knitting. Actually, I did a class for us as well. We talked about the benefits of knitting and crocheting, and we talked about the benefits of coloring. And so get yourself a coloring book. I used to treat a defense attorney, huge. This man was wealthy. Well, let me say rich, because there's a big difference there, right? Very rich man. And every time before he went out on those major defense cases, pulled out his coloring book. Grown man, he was fine too. He was fine too. But listen, and he would color. Get yourself a coloring book. So there's a pixel art color number. It's an app that you can get on your phone. When you're starting to feel a little elevated, you can kind of click on the numbers and you pick the colors and you make these really pretty pictures. There's a mindfulness app for meditation. You can get that. There are so many meditation apps that you can get on your phone to kind of help you with your deep breathing, to help you with guided imagery, to help you with meditating and get that visualization that we talked about. There's an Aloe Bud app. These are all resources you can use. It's amazing. You got to make sure you have a good book. A good book is always great, that you're building your skills. We talked about intellectual wellness, making sure that you're introducing new information, right, into your brain space. Who Moved My Cheese? I Am a Number 8. The Law of Influence, 0 to 1. What Got You Here Won't Get You There. Put Your Strengths to Work are just some ones that I am recommending that you read. Get your mind right. Get your money right. In this month's blog, I talk about mental money and how there are certain mindsets that millionaires adopt to assure that their mindsets are generating money for them, that their mindsets are positioning them in the place where they can get more. And so as women, as high achieving women, it is important that we no longer expect the atmosphere to give us things out of an empty cup. You are the only one that can fill your cup. And so being mindful of self-care, which is meeting your needs out of a place of self-love, it's no longer negotiable, especially not in this time. You want your business to be resilience proof, or you want your business to be recession, proof, then that comes from a mindset. You want your business to continue to generate money even though we're going through these times. That comes from a mindset. You want to be able to push forward even though you're getting rejections from the north, the south, the east, the west. That comes from a mindset. You want to be able to know that your product is amazing no matter what the sales are. You want to make sure that the content that you're putting out is amazing no matter what likes or shares you get. That comes from a mindset. And that resilient mindset, that mental toughness will take you to your next level. So understand that as you are looking for the universe, for God, for whatever you believe that growth and progress comes from, if you are expecting to attract that, understand that the major magnet is your mindset. Your mindset will attract the outcomes that you desire. Your mindset will attract the outcomes that you sow for, blood, sweat, and tears for. Your mindset. And the only thing that separates your desire from what's truly manifesting in the here and now, the thing that stands between the two is your mindset. It's your decision to modify your mindset in such a way that it would cause outcomes to be attracted into your personal space, into your bank accounts, into your relationships. Your mindset will make you money. Amen. I sure do hope that you enjoyed the class today. We are over time, but I will be making sure that I go in and look at the questions and answer them on our live, answer them here in this chat room as well. I thank each and every one of you for joining in and taking the time to just invest in your wellness. Those seeds will never, ever fall in a ground or on a ground that doesn't produce. It never will. So understand that even the time that you're taking out to engage in these classes, the money that you're investing in coaching, everything that you're doing to assure that you are fully operational and full throttle in your purpose, that shall come to pass. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what's going on around us. It doesn't matter. The things that you declared and you decreed in 2019 that would happen in 2020 still will. Those who want to go back to 2019, are you crazy? I'm not going backwards for no one. Some of these periods and these seasons are for correcting and perfecting. And that's what I'm taking this as. I will still catapult. Everything that I declared will come to pass, and it will come to pass for you as well. Keep on moving. Keep on pushing. We got this. CEO chicks, assure that your mental money is right and that your mindset is making money for you. Amen. Have a blessed week. Dominate and continue to forge forward.